Hello everybody and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, Gary Vaynerchuk. So I'm not sure, but this might be the last time we're going to see each other in 2006, and what a great year it is. Amongst all the other massive world events, Wine Library TV was born in 2006. And a little team from New York, wearing a lot of green, went on an improbable run that's segueing so nicely into 2007. So it's the Friday episode, and today we're going to go with a little bit of a different theme. Today I'm talking about two things that everybody's been talking about. One's a wine and one's a cheese, and you know what? I just got fed up and I need to try them for my darn self. So I'm going to be trying a wine from California and a cheese from Spain. What else is on the agenda? I brought out the Iron Sheik today. Why? I don't know. But I love the man. He's one of the great wrestling champions of all time, and if you don't know, he's very underrated. Other than that, it's been a great year. I just want to thank everybody. Couple confessions. I've listened to the same song 83 times in a row in the last 2 days. It's Lionel Richie's Lady. If you haven't listened to it, you need to. It is an absolute classic. I also need your help, Maniacs. Quick link to the left, to the right, over here, depending on which side of the camera you're on. I need you to hook me up with some Squeedo love. We love this site. It's pretty awesome, and you'll understand. Sign up. I know it's a pain in the butt, and give me 5 stars if you like me at all whatsoever. Other than that, I'm really excited. Let's talk about what I'm tasting today. What I have in front of me is the Beringer 2002 Napa Valley Cabernet. It's about a $28 retail value, and this is 92 points Wine Spectator. Given the force of the Beringer name and the overall huge score that the Spectator gave it, I've got to really try it for myself. I mean, it's been flying. There's been a lot of buzz about it for a while, and I'm really excited about it. Also, I have questions, because that's what we've been doing on Fridays. So we're going to get into that right off the bat. Also, Leonora. This wine from the Leon in Spain, Leonora, is a goat milk cheese that 3 separate people told me about in the gourmet department in last week, so I finally am going to jump into that as well. I'm excited about that. So let's get right into the first question. Dave from Katona says, "Hey Gary, since my grandparents were born in Belarus and Ukraine, and since you were born in Belarus, how about doing wines of Eastern Europe or Belarus? That is, if any exist." Dave, as for the Belarusian wines, I'm not quite sure. I think vodka's a tad bit more popular over there, but there are some great Eastern European wines, and we're going to tackle that issue like the Jets are going to tackle the bums from Oakland all week early next year. So look for that. We will definitely do that. All right, as we got through the first question, I'm intrigued by this obnoxiously dark color, and we're going to really give this a little bit of a whirl. Some great color. Let's give it a little bit of a sniff. Listen. Beringer is not scared of the oak monster. There's a heavy dose of oak. You know, the oak monster comes out and plays. Eric, stay calm. A lot of black cherry, a little bit of cinnamon as well, which is quite nice on the nose. But it's coming through very characteristic of a California over-oaked Napa Valley Cab, which is just fine. There's a lot of people who love that style. It's very obvious. There's a little bit of black cherry also coming through in the nose. The nose is actually quite solid. The oak is on the high side, but other than that, great quality on the nose. I know. Here come the 13 comments of, "Hey Gary, it's Friday. Drink it." Eric, can you do a zoom in for me? Come on, I want people to see the playoff beard. Get in there. You see? Playoff beard, baby. It's going all the way down to my socks. We may never lose again. ESPN, you know, if we win at least 40 to 50 games in a row, you're going to have to play that clip. I've been on SportsCenter before. We all know the draft. All right, Stuart L. I'm not going to give you my notes on the wine. I'm going to let it sit a little bit more. It's been open for about an hour and a half. It's got a lot of upfront fruit, but I'm going to let it digest. I'm going to try with the cheese, and then we're going to get more into questions. I'll get into that in a second. Stuart L. has a great question. How about savoring a bottle of champagne on Wine Library TV for New Year's? Stuart, it's so funny. That's what today's show was going to be. But I forgot my saber in my car. And so we're just not going to be able to tackle it maybe in 07. Large Format Fever, one of my favorite screen names, great job, asks, why do we as Americans drink our freaking young wines? This sucks. I recently grabbed the wrong bottle out of a cellar, 2000 de Cru, and poured it, and I was thinking it was the 88. Oops! As I poured it, I think the wine was waving me the middle finger. That happens to me a lot too. Although the wine was good, it was nowhere near where it should be. Please enlighten me. This is a classic question. I think we've tackled it once before. Our American society just gives us absolutely zero patience. It's just the way we are. iPods, the internet, cellular, Bluetooth. I mean, we just want stuff now. I want it even quicker than now. I honestly can tell you right now, if somebody told me that they could implant my cell phone into my head and put my iPod into my kneecap and let it be played by controlling it with my nose, I'd go for that. We just want instant gratification, and that makes us very poor, as a lot of my European friends like to tell me, at storing our wines. It's just the way it is, and that's why so many wines that are being drunk too young, I mean, even this wine is obscenely young, I mean, this is 5 to 10 years away, are being analyzed, I don't want to say unfairly, because hey, you're bringing it to the party, you're there, you gotta represent. But there's definitely a huge evolution in wines, and so you should keep in mind that wines, when you approach them, if you don't like the way they're tasting, sell them for a little while, especially wines with great pedigree or been recommended to you, but with people that really know what they're talking about, or wines that you've liked in the past. They will evolve and change quite a bit. So always keep that in mind. Mr. Blotto says, hey Gary, when will everyone stop thinking you're opening a bottle of Boone's Farm just because you're opening a bottle with screw cap? Personally, I don't like screw caps just because there is nothing like the sound of a cork popping off a bottle. Thought? It's funny, Mr. Blotto. There's nothing like the gun shooting off at a Jets final for me. So pop out of the cork, not so much for me. But I'm telling you right now, and everybody knows how I feel about this, I honestly would like to see the entire wine world go to screw top. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I know the reason people think you're drinking Boone's Farm is everything that is wrong with the wine industry. It's all that snobbery. Let's get rid of that crap. Who cares? The wines are better. The cork, why? Because the cork can't affect the quality of the wine inside. Can you imagine buying a bottle of 82 Bordeaux for $500 because your son or daughter was born in 82? You've been cellaring it all this time. Storage costs are getting high in homes in the U.S. And then you pop it open for their 21st birthday, and what? The wine is cork? That's devastating. Crushing. Very, very sad. And it's all because of damn cork. And I know I'm going to get my 15 emails like I always do when I talk about this from the cork industry. But cork industry, I am not scared of you. It's all about screw tops. All right, let's talk about the wine. Because another thing I'm not scared of is the wineries. I mean, this is classic. This is really going to be one of those debates in a line. Either you're going to love this wine or you're going to hate this wine. It's got an obscene amount of New World fruit, lots of cherry, great raspberry reduction sauce type quality in the mid-palate to the finish. The oak is actually not as bad on the palate as I kind of preconceived it would be given on the nose. It's sophisticated. It's got a really long finish. I'm pretty impressed with this effort. It's not quite as... I definitely went in preconceived that once that I got that huge oak, that it was going to be one of those California Cabernets. But it's not. It's got good cherry. It's got good balance. It's a solid bottle of Cabernet. Slightly over-oaked, no question about it, but not obscene, and most Cali Cabs in this price range are. I'm pretty impressed. Some dark chocolate coming through on the finish. The finish is nice and long. It's a good bottle of wine. I'm going to score this wine 90 points, and to me, that is exactly what this is delivering, and that's more than fair coming through at this price point that they're charging in an era where there's overpriced Cali Cabs. I mean, it's like pictures. Did you see what Barry Zito? Well, I'm not even mad about Barry Zito's contract. Jeff Supan and all these other guys, $12 million for Journeyman? When my Vayner's son is born, he's pitching lefty from the day he wakes up. All right, let's get back into the questions. Oh, wait a minute. Leonora, we've got to taste this, and then we got to compare how it tastes after. So this is a goat's milk from Spain, from Lyon. And as many of you know, I probably prefer cheese to wine. I mean, wow. One of the better cheeses we've ever done on Wine Library TV. Explodes, almost has that cream cheese quality in the mid-palate. It's so thick. It's got a lot going on with the acidity. Nice terroir flavors, almost like a truffle aspect on the outer layer with the rinds. It's actually extremely good. A lot of complexity. Completely covers your palate. from the cheese and wine pairing standpoint, it brings a little bit more body to the Cabernet. Yeah, it doesn't do too much. It doesn't change too much. But the cheese is fantastic. Once again, probably for the 4th straight time, the cheese outshines the wine. It's spectacular. I don't really have the pricing of how much this is by a pound like I normally do, but I'm sure it's less than $100 a pound. All right, let's move on. Wilson Gonzalez says, sounds like one of the minor league players on my fantasy team. Wilson Gonzalez says, what is a good wine from 1976? This is a great question, Wilson. Number 1, it's not a great vintage around the world. Number 2, it was the first full year that I was born. So that's important to understand. Here's why. Because the only wines in 76 that can be drank now that are great are German Rieslings. Especially the ice wines. Classic. I wouldn't say all-time classic, but a very strong vintage in Germany. And if you want to seek something out to drink now, for any special occasion or any special reasons, that's what you need. Tim F., classic Vaniac, early on guy. Tim F. says, can you do a show with Michelle Rolland? I think it would be awesome to see the two of you guys tasting some wine together. Tim, that's another reason I'm growing the playoff beard. If you've ever met Michelle, his thing is thick. I don't want to be embarrassed when we sit down and taste together. So I'm stepping up my game. We're going to try to get Michelle on the show for you. Michelle, if you're watching, which I know you are, because who isn't in the wine world, come on down, let's sit down together, and let's give Tim F. an official, original Vaniac what he wants. Great question right here. Salvatore, and this is a serious question. Why didn't we get the fruit on the second tasting of the same wine? Our family did a blind tasting of 4 wines. The first wine punched you in the face with black raspberry cherry. We did the other 3, returned to the first, and that fruit punch in the face seemed to be completely gone. What happened? All our wines were under $20. Salvatore, great question. Going back to a couple questions before, wines evolve. I have no idea about the timing, but if it was about an hour after you first tried the first one, the wines open up, different things are going on, it's reshaping itself, it's shooting off more flavors. A lot of times you're getting a lot more potent fruit right off the bat. That's why we tend to like to let things air for 3-4 hours, sometimes as long as that. Wine is a moving target. I think people really need to understand that. And that's why so much is critical about the way things are scored, and too much goes into the points. It really goes more into your own palate, as we always scream. It's such a moving target. I mean, from the second it's open to an hour later, to 3 days later, to 3 months later, to 3 years later, to 13 years later, to 23 years later, the wine consistently changes every moment. They go through some patterns that are pretty consistent, but it is probably the single biggest moving target out there, and that's what makes it so difficult to always be able to predict what somebody will or will not like. So to answer your question, what happened? Here are my 2 guesses. 1, it was a while and the wine opened up, or 2, you and your fams got a little sloshed, and when you went back to it, you just didn't know what was going on. And finally, and this is a wonderful question from Anthony S. A perfect question to end 2006 with. Anthony S. says, what is your favorite wine to drink while AJ beats you at Nintendo Wii?
Wine? You ever see this guy lose? He needs vodka.
Sore loser, man. Question of the day. Very, very good one. Where are you going for New Year's and what are you drinking? This is Gary Vaynerchuk, 2006 version. Andre 3000, I'm not scared of you. We'll see you next time in 2007 because you, with a little bit of me, we're changing the wine world, aren't we?